5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please do not change channel.
From Krypton Radio, brought to you by Famous Faces and Funnies and Off the Chain with Yvonne Mason. It's the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour, the Internet's premier pop culture talk radio show. You're tuned in, you're logged on, and now, your host, award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomichter. Who are you hanging with?
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. I'm G.W. Pomichter.
You are.
I am award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomichter.
Yes, you are. I am not.
You are not.
I am Sage Ia.
Well, good.
Yes.
And behind the console over there?
I am Deanna Marie.
That's right. And online, we have the one and only, the amazing, the stupendous, the Orlando Wizard himself, Robert Lupo. Yeah, and the crowd goes
please
wild.
Sit down, no applause.
That's right. And we are here tonight. We are so happy. We get to dive in every week to great pop culture topics. Last week, we did spaceships.
Yes, we did.
We did spaceships.
That was awesome.
Best and worst spaceships in sci-fi. The week before that, we dove into steampunk.
That was fun.
That was fun. What is steampunk? That's right. And this week, we are going to be chatting with you all about the best streaming sci-fi out there. Stuff that you can get on your Netflix, on your Hulu, on Amazon Prime. That's right. Some of the best stuff streaming out there on the web and our experiences with it, etc. So it should be a fun show. But you know what? Speaking of streaming on the Internet,
yes.
Last week we talked about ships, and we introduced Lupo to the Rocinante and its crew.
Yes, we
and
did.
the Expanse. So I understand you've had a chance to take a look, man. What do you think?
My God. There's, 4 or 5 seasons?
There are 3 seasons at present. Season 4 we're hoping to drop in 2019 here.
So I'm still on season 1, and I got to tell you what I really like about that is it's one of the first shows I've seen where they try to put a realism in to the ships.
Yeah.
The turn and burn and and how the gravity's working and how people are being slammed around as they're trying to make it an emergency changing course. It's really, really well done. And I'm so mad that it took me this long to find it.
That's okay. You caught on.
Well, yeah, but what's amazing about that is that we live in an amazing world. That's our topic tonight, is streaming and the stuff that's out there streaming. It's an amazing world because just a few years, it was not a few years ago, it was 15 years ago. By the time everyone discovered Firefly, it was canceled.
Too sad. Too
soon.
It was.
I want to know how we get 1 season of Firefly, but we get 7 or 8 seasons of Jersey Shore. How the heck did that happen?
There's a mystery there. It's an enigma wrapped inside of a mystery. It's a shame. That is right. It all wrapped around shame. That's
shame.
But with streaming now, here we are. The Expanse got 3 seasons on Sci-Fi Channel, and then was canceled, axed. It was all over. And then along comes Amazon, and it is reborn. And we are expecting season 4, bigger, better. I mean, we're expecting some great things in season 4 because because streaming service came along and said, we will pick that up.
That's right. I do believe in season 4. I'm not going to give too much away for Lupo yet, but we were told by Cass Anwar,
yes,
who plays Alex, that Avasarala is just amazing in season 4.
Even more badass.
Amazing.
That's right, even more badass. Wow. For those of you that don't know, a good friend of both Robert Lupo and myself, Mark B. Lee, has a complete interview online. You can go to Mark B. Lee's MLB Entertainment Facebook page, and you can see the complete interview with Cass Anwar as he talks about the science and the amazement inside the Expanse universe. And again, one of the amazing things that, as Robert said, was they go for such realism. Yes. They talk about the flip and burn. They talk about how gravity would be formed on a ship through acceleration, not some fancy artificial gravity generator or whatever, just the acceleration. And when you decelerate, you lose gravity.
Yes.
And so they talk about all of that. And then
now
I
what
wanted to ask
space
Lupo,
does to
I
your
was
body.
going to say, I wanted to ask Lupo about this. What did you think of the idea? Because we know that these changes happen rapidly in individuals. What did you think about the idea of the Belters and the Martians and the physiological changes based on the environment? Not so much evolutionary changes, but immediate physical changes. Belters 2 or 3 generations can't go home. They can't survive.
No, because, there's even a quote-unquote torture scene where they're torturing a person in, like, Earth's gravity, and it's just killing him. You know, it makes sense, because if you listen to this, the astronauts who are in space for long periods of times, their muscles atrophy, and they have a hard time getting back used to it. I mean, there's differences in their heartbeat, their blood pressure, everything.
Well, there's a great interview. There's a terrific interview with the Apollo 11 astronauts when they came home after being on the moon. And, of course, that was an extended journey. They went up and around and landed and then came back. And during that extended period of time, here are these guys. They're 3 guys. They should be top of the world, man. These guys should be on fire with excitement because
and they're all slumped.
They just went to the moon.
And beat over.
And they're all sitting at the table, and you can almost feel the physical wincing from just answering questions, sitting there at that table after just, that trip.
Well, you know what else? I remember listening on the news. There were twins, and one of them went up to the International Space Station, and the other one stayed here. And then when he came home, he was markedly shorter than his twin.
See there?
And that's how now
No,
everybody
the other way
can,
around,
oh,
right?
the other way, right? Yeah, but so now they can tell them apart very easily.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, and I mean that was the thing with the Belters. Multiple generations of this instant physiological. Now they say that happens in a short period of time. So imagine being born out there. And I mean, so they would be markedly taller, thinner, less muscle tone, less muscle structure. All great things, and all on demonstration in the Expanse.
Yes.
So speaking of streaming, that definitely makes our top 10 list. The Expanse. If you haven't checked it out yet,
show, absolutely fabulous show. And I'm excited by the fact that Amazon is picking up Firefly.
Yes.
Ooh, I didn't hear
I
that.
wish.
That would be something.
Then maybe now they will.
Jeff Bezos, are you listening?
Right?
Yes.
Talk to Amazon. Let's pick this up and create new seasons. That would be awesome.
Oh,
Amazon's
boy.
grabbing all kinds of properties out there.
They are. And I mean, we live in an amazing age. I love that Netflix, Amazon, Hulu are all producing content now.
Yes.
They're not just sitting back and waiting for it to come to them. They're producing their own. Netflix originals. Guys, here we are. We're talking about best things to stream.
Yes.
Robert, I know you're with me at Umbrella Academy.
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
I watched it all.
All.
And power watched it. And wow.
Yeah.
One of the best new shows I've ever seen.
But the thing is I try to tell everybody this, especially about streaming content, because it is true serial content. So the first couple episodes, they may or may not grab you right off the bat because they're long format storytelling. So you have to give it 2 episodes. If you're going to stream one of these, you're going to binge this, you have to give it 2 episodes. And then if you're not hooked at the end of 2 episodes, I guess you can go do your thing. But after 2 episodes of the Umbrella Academy, man, it's on.
I like my cereal with milk.
Oh, she did that. Oh, on the internet. It's for everyone to see. Wow. So Umbrella Academy, man, what best part about the Umbrella Academy for you, man? What was it?
It has to be the story and how it interacts with all the different characters. It's really fascinating because you get really engrossed with the different characters. Some of the characters, like, one of the characters is dead, and all these other things are happening, and the ones who feel like they're useless end up discovering how valuable they are, and the ones who think they're ultimately power kind of realize that they're not as hot as they thought they were. It took superheroism and made it more realistic than I've ever seen done before.
Yeah, I like that our superheroes aren't like instant badasses.
Yes.
They I like the whole idea of the academy, raising them and trying to teach them how to be superheroes. And I like that our lead, our adopted dad there is the worst dad ever.
He means well.
I mean, he's doing all this training. He virtually once. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the Umbrella Academy, we're going to talk a little bit about the show here on the air. So if you haven't seen the Umbrella Academy, you're going to want to come back later, not now.
Yes.
Do this la 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 la.
Yeah,
la,
exactly.
That's it.
Yeah,
You thought when somebody told you to go to your room, that was bad.
Yeah, but so anyway, as soon as he suppresses our young lady's powers, he just forgets about her. Like, you're normal, go away. I mean, that's the worst dad ever. Talk about, favorites and whatnot.
Keep in mind, he there was 40 some odd specials born on the exact same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's only got
he only got a handful of them.
6.
Mm-hmm.
He got 6
of them.
Yeah, he got 6.
7
So
out of 12.
out of all the rest, it leaves you room for expansion and introduction of other characters. There's so many others that could be brought in.
There was a part of me early on that thought maybe that boyfriend was going to turn out to be one of them, one of the other specials that was born on that day.
Instead, he was just a schmuck.
Yeah, well,
He was. So he wasn't born at the same time. He was just born on the same day.
Yeah. There was a part of me that was like, oh, I wonder if he's another one of those, and he wasn't. He was just a schmuck.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that was an excellent one. What have you seen out there now? Coming up, I am so looking forward to this. Coming up on Stars is season 2, American Gods.
Yes, on Sunday.
My gosh, yeah.
Oh.
That took a long time.
It did.
Yeah.
I watched all of American Gods. I'm like, this is actually quite brilliant. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you're sitting there like, when are we getting season 2?
And then poof.
Yeah, gone. Yeah, I was because we watched it. We waited until it had all dropped onto Hulu, and then we watched it all.
Yes,
in one shot. And then I was looking, and I was like, when is the next group? And it was like, not for a while. And all I could think of was, God, they didn't cancel this right when no,
but they didn't.
They didn't. That's right. It's there.
Just think of maybe how.
Have you read the book?
No, I haven't. No, I have not read that.
So I believe you can get the audiobook on audible.com.
Sweet.
Ooh, very cool. Yeah, because I loved that idea. I love the idea of bringing the classic global, gods from around the world and saying, hey, in this era, where would they fit in?
Please believe in me.
Yes, it was just really, really cool. And, okay, we got about 1 minute here. We have to wrap it up and take a commercial. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some more great streaming content. Going to go over a list of some of the things that are out there coming out and talk about whether or not we've seen them or want to see them or where we are. So in the meantime, stay tuned in and stay logged on, and we'll be right back.
Authors, filmmakers, producers, anybody that has anything to do with creating independent stuff, comic book authors, musicians. Make sure you take advantage of the 2019 Indie Originals Live Talent Competition, going on now at www.indieoriginalslive.com. This is your exclusive opportunity to become an official award-winning independent creator to use that in your marketing. Enter today at www.indieoriginalslive.com.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Channeling the Mothership is an exciting journey into the higher mysteries. Certified psychic medium and clairvoyant Jerry McDaniel's readings, writings, and messages have been received by thousands of people in more than 45 countries. These messages have been obtained by channeling his higher self. How does he do it? Is it a blessing or a curse? And what lay beyond the reach of your five senses? Channeling the Mothership. Explore the mysteries of the spiritual and the metaphysical. Channeling the Mothership by author Jerry McDaniel. Available on Amazon.com today.
From the imagination of author Kevin J. Kessler, the Rosinante dragons are no more. They have fallen into the obscurity of lore. Now warrior Valentine Barie and Seraphina, a magically gifted princess, are on a mission to save the world of Terra. Together they must face the Rosinante legacy and combat the greatest threat their world has ever known. In the end, who is stronger, the man or the dragon? Find out in Kevin J. Kessler's The Rosinante series on Amazon.com today.
It's Germany, 1938. Charlotte is a 15-year-old girl living in the Jewish quarter. George lives in the city proper and enamored by Charlotte's charm and grace when she wanders into his cobbler shop. George decides right then and there that he is going to marry her. Follow along as this unlikely couple struggles to stay one step ahead of the Gestapo and their dramatic escape from Nazi Germany. Good things always happen in springtime, from author Joanne Fisher on Amazon.com today.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Hangin' With Web Show Radio Hour. I'm GW Pomichter.
I am Sage Ia. Hello.
Hello.
Deanna Marie.
And on the line with us, we have the Orlando Wizard himself, Robert Lupo. Lupo. And in the last segment, we talked about Robert's introduction to the Expanse.
We did.
Which is streaming right now on Amazon Prime. So check out the Expanse. There are 3 seasons. Get caught up because season 4, hopefully late 2019, early 2020.
Let's go with late 2019. I'm good with
okay,
that.
we'll go with that.
Okay.
What else? We talked about
The Umbrella Academy, which is streaming on Netflix.
Right now. Next, I think we had a show a couple years ago. We started watching a show. It was amazing. It's coming back, so we want to talk about this because it is one of my favorite. It's awesome. And Lupo was saying the same thing offline. Penny Dreadful. Oh. Amazing show.
It was just wonderful. All of our classics.
Yeah, well,
rolled into
Penny Dreadful was a dark version of what League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
It took your classic monsters, your classic heroes and heroines, and it literary characters, and threw them on the screen together in a Penny Dreadful, which was the old theater marquee.
Yes,
pamphlets.
exactly.
So, Robert, Penny Dreadful, man, what do you think?
Love the premise. Love how it was executed. I felt that the last season kind of slowed down near the end. It kind of went a little bit off track, but overall, I really liked it. I watched all the episodes.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was well executed. The premise is fantastic. How do I put this? I felt the last few episodes were like
it's almost
quickly written.
I was going to say it's almost like
them written.
It's almost It's almost like they knew they weren't going to be on again.
Mm-hmm. They rushed.
At least for obviously they have a rebirth now, but at least for a while they knew they weren't coming back, and so it sounds like they just kind of those last really 4 episodes. It just feel like they were very weak, and it didn't. I mean, the last couple episodes of season 1 left you dying for more.
Yes.
They held the reveal on our werewolf. You had suspense building all season, and they really held the ultimate reveal until the end of the season. Everything was, so they left you right there. By the end of season 2, you kind of felt like, wow, you guys phoned in the last couple episodes. I didn't,
It's like, to be honest, it's like if they knew they were being canceled, it's like, all right, why bother? We're obligated to put these last few episodes together. So they just felt rushed and nonchalant.
Yeah.
They weren't horrible, but they weren't at the same level as all the rest of the episodes.
Yeah, no, it was good storytelling. It just wasn't. When you set a bar. When you open up, season 1 was gangbusters. Season 2, they dove into these characters really, really in depth in the early part of the season. And then as it started to wind down, it just felt like, wow, they just stopped.
Well, that's it. If you're going to set the bar, you want to jump over it, not smack into it.
Yeah, well, they didn't reach it those last couple episodes. It finished very, very weak. I'm glad to see it coming back. It's Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, another incarnation. So
it's 1930s Los Angeles.
1930s Los Angeles. That ought to be fun.
Yes.
I agree. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah. So I'm glad to see that coming back, and hopefully they will come back strong and solid.
Yes. They made you feel so much.
Speaking of streaming, here's a television property that we caught literally like 4 seasons into it because of streaming. We were able to binge it and got really, really into it. And the last season, it just to me, didn't deliver. And that was American Horror Story.
Oh, yes.
Oh, so this was the last season of American Horror Story.
Yeah, and it just, I didn't, the same thing happened. They brought, the first season was a season-long haunted house story.
Yes.
The second season, obviously, was ridiculous. That was Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Just crazy, over the top. One after another.
And then we had the Coven.
We had Coven,
and
awesome.
You had, which is the best season.
It is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, Kathy Bates.
I was just going to say
the introduction of Kathy Bates that season was amazing. Hotel. You know what? I dug it, man.
I liked Hotel. It's
yeah.
Okay. Well, and Lady Gaga was spectacular.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I'm not a huge Lady Gaga fan, and musically or whatever. She's talented. She's huge, but I'm not a huge fan.
Can't be your friend anymore.
You know,
just saying.
But talk about delivering a new spin on a vampire. Not your grandma's vampire, as it were. And so I loved what she did with that character. I thought it was awesome. And then this last season, from minute one, this whole, cult-like shelter group, and I was like,
Oh, you mean Apocalypse? Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Apocalypse, honestly. I thought there was worse seasons. Roanoke, I didn't really care for at all. I didn't feel it fit, and I didn't like how it was told.
But I have to agree. That whole Blair Witch
I didn't
video
like,
cam point. I do not like that cam.
When it first dove in, right, to the Roanoke story, I was like, okay, cool. But then it went so fast through the Roanoke story, and then we dove into this whole a show about the show that went terribly, and it was like, I don't know, you overdid it. You went too meta on me, man. It's like a camera watching another camera, and I wasn't feeling it after that.
There's a season you skipped.
What's that?
And that was the Carnival season.
All right, I love Carnival.
I liked Carnival.
I like Carnival.
I did too. That was a good one.
That was Freak Show.
Freak Show, that's
yes,
right.
Freak Show,
and
that's right.
What I liked about Freak Show was the first season that showed you concretely that each and every story in the anthology was connected by some thread.
Yeah.
And
what was right after Roanoke? It was it Election or?
Yeah, what was the name of it? I forgot. It was basically dealing whole season dealing with modern politics.
All the crazy animal heads and masks and things.
And you know
that was
what?
Weird.
All that was an anti-Trump show.
Yeah.
Which is like, and I don't like politics put in my show. Yeah, I don't care if you like Trump or not, but the thing is it was so obvious an anti-Trump season.
I think that was what it was. It was that it was obvious. I don't mind. I mean, forever. I preach this to people. Science fiction has always been subversive. It's always been a way to talk about otherwise charged issues in a non-threatening environment and make you think. Whether it's Star Trek showing you, literally in the Cold War, it's, pro-democracy. I mean, Kirk goes down to planets and teaches them how to be, Americans. But it's always done in a subtle way that,
this wasn't subtle at all.
And so I don't like it when it's in your face. I don't mind. Go ahead and preach to me, Well,
to slightly go off topic, it's like going to a comedy show and then the comedian spends 20 minutes of the show bashing, and preaching as politics. I didn't pay money to listen to you preach politics. I paid you to make me laugh. So Roanoke, I felt the same way. It's like, look, I'm not watching the show to hear about how much you hate a specific politician. I'm here to be entertained and hear a good story. Yeah. And I got none of that.
Yeah, no, that was exactly right. By the time you got to that season, it was so overt. I mean, I get it. They don't like this guy.
Yeah.
And not a huge fan myself.
I don't care if you like him or not. That's not what we're watching the show for.
Exactly. And if you're going to do that, be subtle. Find ways in there. Don't get me wrong. I know you're going to preach to me. I know you're going to do it. I just want you to do it in a way that entertains me at the same time so that I can walk away and whether I agree or I disagree, if I got your point or if I didn't get your point, I can still be entertained.
Exactly.
And I thought that season woefully failed to entertain me while it was preaching to me. And I think if you can't do both, don't do the one at all. You just stay away from it.
What I liked about the Apocalypse is they brought back the Coven. and I dug that. And they went back to their the first season, and dealt with the haunted house. So I kind of, it was supposed to be a wrap up of all the seasons, but it really only touched on 2 others.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Deanna just loved that everybody wanted to wear purple.
Yes.
Yes.
Because Deanna loves purple, and so she was like, "Oh, look, purple! There's lots of purple." But I don't know why. I didn't feel. Maybe because they were winding down too. They were wrapping it up, and they were trying to wrap these loose ends up. So they didn't, feel they had to give us a really. I mean, let's face it, guys. When you got Coven, and you've got Asylum, and you've got, you've got the Freak Show.
Hotel.
Oh,
they brought Hotel back in as well on Apocalypse.
Yeah. When you have all of those seasons, and I mean one after another, just kept moving the bar higher and higher and higher. When you go in to tie up the loose ends, you almost have to. I couldn't be that writer or that director because I don't know what you would have to do. Tie up the loose ends and tell a better story than we already did. No, I just don't know how. How do you do that? And so they had a tough job. It wasn't my favorite season, obviously, but I swear by the show. And in streaming, you can catch that.
We are going to get to see somebody do that.
What's that?
Tie up those loose ends in an incredibly phenomenal way.
It's 2019. Here come the loose end tires, starting next month.
Yep.
And what do we got for time over there? We got 2 minutes. Okay, I'm not going to start this one yet.
Okay,
we'll just tease them with it. Starting next month, coming up. Final season Game of Thrones.
Dun, 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 dun.
There you go. We'll talk about that when we come back and some other properties, and we'll go around and kind of what are the favorite new things that we're all seeing and learning about, whether it's old or new. If you just found it and you're streaming it, tell us about it. So old, new, doesn't matter. What are you streaming? If you're in the Twitch room, go ahead and leave it in the chat. If you're listening to this on Krypton Radio, iHeartRadio, CBS Radio's radio.com, iTunes, whatever, go ahead, drop a message to us, tell us what you're streaming.
Yes.
Because we want to know, and we actually want to stream it too, because this is the time of year for us. We're always looking for new content to stream. We're going to come right back, and when we do, we're going to talk about Game of Thrones and our other favorite things that are out there. In the meantime, stay logged on and stay tuned in, and we'll be right back.
The Rite of Wands. One boy, one rite. And a world of deadly secrets that could change the course of history forever. It's time for The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Flohr. When a horrible fate reveals itself during the Rite of Wands ceremony, Mirda must find a way to change his destiny. Forbidden from revealing the future, he is granted a wand and magical powers in order to save himself and those he loves. But Mirda is not the only one with secrets. The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Flohr, available on Amazon.com now.
Every year, tens of millions of people flock to Florida for its sunny beaches and world-famous tourist attractions. Most never learn about the strange and unusual locations just off the beaten path. From the UFOs of Gulf Breeze to Robert the Haunted Doll in Key West, learn about the myths, monsters, and legends from the dark side of the Sunshine State with author Mark Muncy and illustrator Carrie Schultz in their books Eerie, Florida and Freaky Florida from the History Press. Find them at EerieFlorida.com or wherever books are sold.
Now on Amazon.com. War Calls, Love Cries, a Civil War novel by Mark Barie. Isaac Wells is an innocent farm boy living in upstate New York. His dreams are shattered by a treacherous brother and the onset of a devastating civil war. War Calls and Love Cries is a fast-moving historical narrative. It is an emotional roller coaster ride and a riveting must-read book that you will think about and talk about for a long time to come. War Calls, Love Cries is the kind of book you will cherish for a lifetime. On Amazon.com today.
Discarded by Michael J. Allen. In a world where magic is sold like designer coffee, unknown forces have corrupted it, and it's killing people. Now, an unlikely hero emerges. A homeless ex-con creating spells out of a trash can is the only one who can save the city. Michael J. Allen's Discarded. Available on Amazon.com.
Murder by the Gods from author William G. Collins is available today. Murder by the Gods is a mystery thriller set in the glorious past of ancient Egypt. When the son of the Scorpion King suddenly collapses after receiving a mysterious threat from the god Seth, the prince is convinced it is the gods who are trying to kill his family. Murder by the Gods is filled with adventure and romance in a kingdom that would become known as the Land of the Pharaohs. Murder by the Gods from author William G. Collins is available on Amazon.com today. All right, welcome back to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. I'm GW Pomichter.
I am Sagia.
I'm Deanna Marie.
And on the line, we've got the one and only Orlando Wizard, who is out touring the country these days, Robert Lupo. Okay, so we promised him some Game of Thrones talk. We did. We promised him before the break some Game of Thrones.
Because the trailer just dropped.
The trailer just dropped for Game of Thrones. Robert, did you see that online?
I haven't seen the trailer, no.
Oh, wow. Filled with teasing clips and footage from this season coming
up. Play it
up.
again, Mufasa.
I love that. Yeah. And so, final season, Game of Thrones, abbreviated season, 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Powerhouse episodes.
We're only going to get 6 episodes?
They're going to be a little bit longer.
About an hour and a half.
But
that's still lame.
Yeah.
We should have 20 episodes.
We need 22. We need to do a complete season. Dan, Dave, come on, guys. But yeah, we're going to do 6 episodes, longer episodes, and wrap the show, and essentially wrap this saga, the Song of Ice and Fire. And so first of all, first 3 episodes are all surrounding preparation for the battle at Winterfell. So this is the 3rd battle at Winterfell. The first one was Stannis, got his butt kicked. The second one was Battle of the Bastard. That was a pretty tight, epic battle scene.
Oh my gosh.
And now the 3rd battle at Winterfell, which will be with the Night King and the Army of the Dead.
And they're going to get to us, not just with the incredible cinematography that they have going, but the musical score drives it home. And like they showed in the last season, sometimes the lack of music. And you're like, oh my God, what is happening?
The deafening silence.
Yes.
They do. Robert, first deaths. So by episode 3, we're expected to get the battle at Winterfell. So, and George Martin has made no bones about the fact that this will be a bittersweet ending. Dan and Dave, have been bloody with our main characters. So predictions, guys. Sage, Lupo, Deanna, first one's down. Who dies first?
You talking main characters or any character?
Well, of the ensemble cast. Now, I don't know. I think most of our leads, Jon Snow, Daenerys, Cersei, they're all going to make it till the second half of the season. But Battle for Winterfell, who's going to fall?
Jorah Mormont is going to die.
Jorah Mormont is going to die. What do you say, Lupo?
What's the Stark gal's name?
Arya?
No.
Oh, good.
No,
Sansa.
Oh, good.
Sansa. You think Sansa?
I think Sansa's gonna get nailed. Arya's too cool, too badass of a character.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, they take the romantic characters and they take them out. But Arya's one of my favorite characters because she's just not a badass. She's a sword wielding, skilled badass.
Oh no, she's like a sword wielding Westerosi ninja.
Oh yes, we had an excellent theory about what is going to happen with Arya.
I do. Spoiler alert: if we happen to be right, we believe here at the Hanging with Web Show, we believe that Arya will fulfill the Valonqar prophecy.
Yes.
That Jaime will fall in battle.
I think Jaime's going to fall in battle defending Brienne. They're going to fight back to back. He's going to save her from a killing stroke and take it for himself to make the final arc for his redemption.
And due to that sacrifice to death, the sacrifice to the many-faced god, Arya is going to take his space and the Hound, head to King's Landing, and take out Cersei.
Yes, and then we'll get Clegane Bowl because the Hound will be there.
And we'll get the Hound
and
the mountain. So the Hound will come to get her past the mountain, and then Arya will take out Cersei. I think that's...
she's pretty much the last on Arya's list.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I think you must fulfill the list.
I think Jon's going to end up being the king. Not just King of the North. He's gonna be on the Iron Throne. He's actually the heir to the Iron Throne in real life.
Yeah, and I think
in real life.
I think because of the relationship that has begun to form in the last season with Daenerys, I think his natural inclination would be to decline in favor of Daenerys. who was, raised to be a queen as opposed to him. However, I think Dany dies before the end. I think she might die either in childbirth,
yes,
or sometime immediately thereafter, and leave the sole heir to the Iron Throne would be Jon. He is the heir apparent already. If he defers to Dany, then once she's gone, he's still the heir. So I think that leaves it to Jon. And if you look back at season 1, and they did say there are going to be a lot of echoes from season 1 in the final season, and one of them I think is over and over again. Jaime said it, Cersei said it. After Robert's Rebellion, the only thing that Ned Stark had to do was climb the stairs, and he would have been king.
Mm-hmm.
And Ned didn't have an investment in the throne at that time.
Yeah. I think she's going to die in a dragon battle.
In a dragon
with the
battle.
Night King. I think it's going to be this epic dragon battle, and she's going to take out the Night King, or and fall on the same princess. I think the dragons are going to take each other out.
Yeah. Well. I definitely think we're going to lose another dragon at the battle.
I think we're going to lose all the dragons. I think it's going to be a dragonless world again.
That's interesting.
Well, it took magic to conquer magic, the Song of Ice and Fire. However, as Lupo pointed out, once the Nightwalkers are defeated in some level, once that arc has ended, all the magic goes away again, and it becomes a medieval.
We were given a clue already earlier on in the seasons that all you have to do is take out one of the Night King generals to wipe out all of the ones he's converted.
All the whites.
So if you take out the Night King himself, they all fall.
Because all of the White Walkers,
the White Walkers
were still created.
Yes.
They weren't dead, but they were created by him. So that could have something to do with it.
So he created the generals, and the generals have the power to create, to raise White Walkers. So once he's down, everything just collapses like dominoes.
Now George Martin has said this over and over again, and it's been echoed through the showrunners. George Martin, when he wrote this, does not believe in two-dimensional bad guys. There's no such thing as bad. There's no such thing as good. It's everybody struggling with their inner demons and so forth. Robert, what does the Night King want? What is he coming south for? Because he's not just, like I said, Martin has been clear. He's not just a big bad wolf coming down.
He wants revenge.
For what?
He was converted against his will
by the children. Yes.
Yeah.
And so
who were allies of the First Men.
So he's coming. So his entire end game isn't really Westeros. It's just the North. It's the First Men, the remaining First Men. Mm-hmm. So
and that's interesting. It leads into like Lupo said, that he thinks Jon's going to end up on the Iron Throne.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if necessarily it's the Iron Throne, but he might be proclaimed king. Missandei gave us that hint. And talking about Dany, and she said she's not the queen because of some bloodline, but because we choose to follow her. Because he didn't proclaim himself king of the North. Everybody else did. And he was like, well, okay, I guess I'll do it. Yeah. So that could be the same thing here.
He didn't want it.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I think that's true. I also think when I look at the Night King and his agenda in the North, and this isn't a show, there hasn't been anything said about it really in the show, other than the repeating over and over again about the importance of the crypts at Winterfell.
Yes.
And there is a fan theory out there, and I really love it. And it says that it basically purports that the Night King, in addition to being created by the children, the Night King is actually the Night's King, the Night's Watch leader, a Stark,
who was a Stark, yes,
who fell in love with a White Walker, and
isn't that interesting?
They married. And they ruled from the Night's Fort there on the wall.
I bet you she had beautiful blue eyes.
Until
it couldn't happen.
And until his cousin or brother came and took back the Night Watch and basically exiled him to the north. But it never says what happened to the wife, to the White Walker. And so one of the theories says that wife was taken past the wall so that she would no longer be powerful and put in the crypts of Winterfell. And so he would be coming to basically get his eternal bride.
Oh, he's coming to get his woman.
Coming to get his woman.
Well, so you're basically saying that she was created, and then the Night King.
No. The idea was that that this particular Night King, of course, in the books they do this a lot better. In the books they talk about how the original Night King the children created the White Walkers, the Night King, not just the Night King, but the White Walkers, the actual blue guys. Of course, they can't reproduce, so they have to create more walkers with their magic. But they created White Walkers plural, and so there was a female White Walker out there. And a Night's Watch, a Stark that was on the Night's Watch, fell in love, married her, and then they ruled the Night's land, and he became the Night's King. So it was like a torch being passed down. But the general idea is he's a Stark. He's a Stark of Winterfell, as they say over and over and over again.
There must always be a Stark in Winterfell.
And there may be a Stark in Winterfell. Down at the bottom, a very gruesome, immortal
I have a hard
Stark.
time believing that one, though. And the reason why is the original White Walker was the Night King. And even if they made other Night Kings, he has the power over all of them, which is why the key is to take him out to collapse all the others.
I do. I get that, but that's the thing. The theory again dives a lot more into the stories that come out of the books, and again, we have not been presented any of that story, not even in passing, in the show. So I do think he's coming to Winterfell. I think revenge is a good thing, to take out the remaining first men, because they're the ones that help the children. The children they took out back at the green seers tree. So now they just have to pick up what's left in the south, or in the north of the south, as it were. So I like that idea, that just taking Winterfell. Then of course I also like the idea that the Starks are descendant of the first men, so he may be a Stark. Maybe he just wants his damn castle.
Could be.
I don't know.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, he literally could have been a Stark.
Exactly. So that being said, he might want that. We have to take another break. When we come back, we'll talk about what else we're watching, what are we streaming, what's coming out, what is already out there, what did we just find, and we'll dive into that when we get back on the other side of the break. In the meantime, stay logged on and stay tuned in, and we'll be right back.
How you doing, everybody? This is KG Bethlehem. I'm an author of a new book called Certain Moments of Time. It's a collection of short stories. These short stories range from post-apocalyptic, dystopian, anti-utopia, as well as general fiction. You can find Certain Moments of Time on sale at Amazon.com, where you can purchase the ebook format as well as paperbook format. You can also purchase it at Lulu.com, paperbook format, and will be on sale soon at BarnesandNoble.com.
Best-selling and award-winning author of true crime and crime fiction, Yvonne Mason is back with a brand new book, The Pink Canary, a book that delves into the life of a drag queen and a marvelous whodunit. You can find this and all of Yvonne's other works on Amazon.com, or find Yvonne Mason on Facebook and Twitter.
He's gonna kill me.
Buy your copy of Pink Canary now.
You know who I might be, but that's not important. What I've come here to tell you today, that is, if you are an independent creator, if you make movies, if you're an author, if you make music, you should enter the Indie Originals Live Talent Competition. Hundreds of categories and lots of prizes will be awarded, but the clock is ticking. Visit www.indieoriginalslive.com right now. www.indieoriginalslive.com.
Devarius has lost everything. His parents murdered, his sister kidnapped, and the new village he called home destroyed. The Dragonia Empire is out of control, destroying anything and everything in their path, searching for the resistance. Devarius is left with no choice but to find the resistance, join them, and hope he can help them defeat the Dragonia Empire once and for all to bring peace to the land of Keldroga. Dragonia, Rise of the Wyverns, Dragonia Empire Volume 1.
In the summer of 1953, private investigator Will Lucky Marks was working as the in-house private eye for Arcane Pacific Pictures. Trapped inside the studio with the killer, Lucky must find the killer before time runs out. Lot 28. Own it today. Available iTunes and Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. I'm GW Pomichter.
I am Sagea.
I'm Deanna Marie.
And on the line with us, we have the one and only Robert Lupo, the Orlando Wizard. And, okay, so we wrapped up the last segment talking about Game of Thrones, fan theories, and things we're looking forward to and coming up in this season, which drops, by the way, April 14th.
Streaming on
HBO. That's right, HBO Go, for those of you who have HBO, or HBO Now, for those of you who are paying a separate subscription for that.
True.
So it is there.
Well, and the only drawback to that is they don't drop the whole thing at once.
Yeah.
Which a lot of us bingers are used to. But, you know, Hulu started that for some of their originals. They don't drop the whole season. They'll drop like 3 episodes. You're like, why would you do that?
To make you do that.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly right.
Exactly
So, guys, now we're down to this last segment here. And I was thinking we'd go around and talk about, and we'll just see if anybody else has seen the stuff that we've seen or that we're binging or streaming. And we'll start with Sage. Sage, what did you recently find, old or new, doesn't matter. What did you recently find? What are you currently thinking is just all that?
Currently.
Or you know, in general, that's out there for streaming? Remember, the Twitch audience and the Krypton Radio audience, they have to be able to go and find this.
I like Magicians.
The Magicians.
Yes.
Yeah, they're on season, 5 now? Season 4? Season 5?
I'm actually not sure what season they're on. I know
that they're streaming they're on Netflix.
Yes.
I think there are 3 or 4 seasons on Netflix, and there's one on Hulu right now. Because it's a Sci-Fi Channel property. And,
but it's like Harry Potter for grown-ups.
Like really grown-ups.
And it's not like kids or teens. It's just, you know, it's adult angst. And they have to deal with magic. And the hand symbols are just kind of fun because you have to have an outlet. You can't just, you know, remember in our day we had Bewitched and she would just go tinkle, tinkle, tink. And so there's none of that. And there's, you know, but there's actual studying and learning of magic, and it's really good. You have to give it a chance. You have to watch at least the first couple of episodes, and then all of a sudden there's something about it that just catches you.
And like you said, it's young adult drama. It's not children's adventure. It's young adult drama. Whether it's boyfriends, girlfriends, drugs, college, you name it. And they do some interesting things with that. Lupo, have you checked out The Magicians?
Oh, yeah. I actually really like the show a lot. But it reminded me of one of my favorite things that I actually go back to from time to time and re-binge watches, The Librarians.
Yes. Oh, yes. Love The Librarians.
Fabulous show. Absolutely fabulous. Also, other shows I really enjoyed was Eureka and Warehouse 13.
Definitely.
So I'll binge all those again.
We just re-binged Warehouse 13 not long ago.
That's true.
And I love that.
Yes.
And a season of Eureka.
And a season of Eureka. Yes, that's right. I do. Those are such fantastic shows. And for those of you in modern pop culture, I think tends to forget that things that are cool now haven't always been cool.
True.
And sci-fi is huge pop culture phenomenon right now between comics and science fiction. But a decade ago, 15 years ago or so, that wasn't the case. And so when you were doing science fiction and you were doing these kinds of things, comedic twists and things like that were almost essential to getting a popular audience. Eureka delivered that. Warehouse 13 gave you great drama with enough sci-fi to keep the sci-fi community happy, but enough drama and enough comedy to keep the general audience happy. It was a bridge between those years when we didn't have this phenomenal super sci-fi content coming out, but at the same time we still wanted something special for us.
Yes.
And, networks have to make money, so they have to make sure that they're commercially viable. And I thought that those are two shows, Warehouse 13 and Eureka, that were able to bridge that divide. And they delivered the cash for the networks, and they also delivered us some fantastic, funny, great sci-fi at the same time. Those were great. There is, I'll ask you, if there was a show on Netflix from science fiction and comic writer and creator Joe Straczynski, that J. Michael Straczynski from Babylon 5, that was absolutely phenomenal. I love rebinging this show. It's amazing every time I see it. It's one of those that took a couple episodes to get hooked, but once I was. And the premise is amazing, and it's original, and it's timely. Sense8.
Oh man, that was awesome.
Sense8.
Lupo, I never saw it.
It's amazing.
It's
cinematically amazing.
Sense8. It takes about 2 episodes to get into it. It's a slow starter.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're in, you're in. The premise is that there is a second species of humans, and that they are born. Well, they're born just the way the rest of us are, but then at the age of maturity, they are reborn, if you will, and they are in pods, connected to one another emotionally, mentally. They literally see what each other sees, feel what each other feels. And they're in groups of 8 of them. There are 8 in a
cluster.
In a cluster.
Yes.
And each cluster can borrow skills from each other. So if you're a cab driver in New York, and you need martial arts skills, and one of your cluster is an Asian, black belt, you can borrow that skill.
Yes.
From your cluster mate.
Netflix?
It is on Netflix. Yes, it's called Sense8.
SENS and the number 8.
SENS and the number 8.
Sense8.
And it is amazing. The premise is original. The idea of these clusters is fantastic. Late in the first season, you get the idea, the notion that this is actually the first iteration of man, not the second. That we actually are, we drove them nearly to extinction because the one disadvantage they have, I loved this concept. The disadvantage they have at evolutionary is they cannot lie to each other because they are completely connected.
It is. It's all about connectivity.
Whereas individuals with an evolutionary advantage, because we could be dishonest and we could cheat if we needed to, and they can't because of the way they're connected. And so it was really interesting. Of course, there was the hidden government agenda. All of these, kind of X-Files-y things happening in the background.
The Whisperer, Mr. Whispers.
But the most impressive thing about this show, by far, the writing was good. They were decent stories. I love that we didn't get 8 people that were connected. They were all in Brooklyn. They were literally all over the world.
Yes.
South Africa,
and they filmed
Korea.
all over the world.
They filmed all over the world. The cinematography was brilliant. The camera work, the lighting work,
breathtaking.
The sequences where they share skills or they share mindsets is brilliant. And I'll say this on the air for everybody out there. It is not a rated R type thing. It's a kind of a PG-13, maybe NC-17 kind of rating. But
that's kind of a big difference there.
well, here's the thing. It is the big distinction. It's kind of it falls in between. There are some adult topics that are discussed and explored slightly, but I will say this: there's a difference between sex and sexy.
Well, it's definitely not PG-13.
No, there's a difference between sex and sexy, and I always harken back to one of the sexiest lines in film history is all you have to do is put your lips together and blow. Lauren Bacall in To Have and Have Not. It's a sexy scene. And there's no sex. It's just a sexy scene. It's beautiful, the way they put it. In Sense8, they take that to the whole next level with these 8 people that are clustered together in each other's heads. And they deliver what I think is probably the most, just below rated R, erotic scene that is the hottest thing I think I've ever seen on television. And it's just done with camera work and lighting and these characters delivering this connected performance. And it really is the notion behind the story is we're all connected no matter where we are in the world. We're one human, body. And it was a wonderful story. I would re-binge it over and over and over again. I loved it. It was awesome. And I would recommend that if you haven't checked it out, Lupo, again, give it 2 episodes. It'll take you a while to get hooked on all the characters and 8 of them.
Oh, I totally will.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to Warehouse 13 and
absolutely.
Eureka. So one of the things that I really liked about those 2 shows is that they cross-pollinated. So they would bring the characters from one to the other one. You know what I mean?
Poor Fargo.
And again, so what's great about that is, again, this is for those of you out there on Twitch and on Krypton Radio, this is pre-Marvel. This is everything touches everything else. Before they were doing cameos of big superhero, Nick Fury, Samuel Jackson did a cameo on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., tying the movies to the show. way before that, these two shows fed into one another. Claudia from Warehouse 13 bounced over to Eureka and hung out there for a little while.
Yep.
Fargo and his crew were bouncing over to Warehouse 13. The idea, and it was great because they're two completely opposite shows.
Yes.
One is the pure science of it all, building the future in Eureka, and the other one is the magic and mystery of this
all the fantastic
artifacts.
And the two gaps were bridged so beautifully. And by those characters, of all the characters, Eureka, I got to say, one of my favorite characters is Fargo. He's funny, he's clumsy, he's smarter, but he's us running around Eureka. I mean, really, Jack Carter is meant to be us because he's the guy there that's the normal guy. But Fargo I think, represents more of us than Jack does because Fargo is he trips over his own.
He reminds me of Walter in that other series.
Oh, The Fringe.
Oh, yes, Walter.
The Fringe. Yes. I enjoyed Fringe, too. I binged that, too. I love that one. I like the first.
Good.
I like the first 2 seasons better than the rest, but it was the whole series was really good. We got about 2 minutes, guys.
Yeah.
Lupo, how about you? Wait, go Sage.
No,
Sage first.
I have a question.
She's got her hand up.
Yes, I do.
Like a classroom.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Because anybody who knows him knows he will just talk and talk and talk.
All right,
and talk.
go ahead.
Before we go, does anybody have anything? Well, I want everybody to have something that you're looking forward to seeing that hasn't come out yet. That's due to come out soon. That's not Game of Thrones.
It's not Game of Thrones.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So Lupo, you first.
Movie
or TV,
or
show,
TV,
whatever.
binging, whatever. Something you haven't seen yet.
Who's going first?
You.
Oh, the final Avengers movie.
The final Avengers movie. Yes. Which again, it does feed into our topic tonight, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't think so, it does. It does because this is the final Phase 4 movie, and a lot of things are wrapping in Phase 4, including the Netflix shows.
Yes.
Which have all run their course.
So if you haven't seen Jessica Jones, and Daredevil,
Luke Cage, Iron Fist.
Okay, you can watch the Iron Fist if you want.
It's there. You got it, and of course the Defenders.
Yes,
so that's
I would
up.
watch it while doing the dishes.
While doing the dishes, that's right. While doing the dishes.
I didn't really care for it that much. I'm watching it because I need to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing other things like my taxes and washing dishes and
I think the only reason that a lot of us watched Iron Fist was to find out what little Easter eggs they were going to drop for the other shows.
Yes.
Just in case there was an interaction with Luke Cage or an interaction with Jessica Jones or something from the other shows, we had to watch waiting for it. And I will be honest, the second season, primarily for Sigourney Weaver because, Sigourney Weaver.
It's true.
Well,
what are you looking forward to?
Me, what am I looking forward to coming up? Oh, boy. Honestly, I don't know. Obviously, Avengers Endgame. What's coming though? I'm looking forward to the next season this year because I know it's coming out this year of the Sabrina Netflix show.
Oh,
yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of that, and I don't know why. I just did. It was just good. And I'm waiting for the Riverdale crossover because we talked, with Lupo about crossovers between Warehouse 13 and Eureka.
Oh, you know it has to happen.
I'm waiting for the Sabrina Riverdale crossover.
Archie comics.
Because Riverdale was awesome.
Yeah, Riverdale is amazing. So I'm waiting for the crossover there. Yeah. So, all right, guys, she's giving us the symbol back there behind the board. We have to wrap it up. We have had so much fun hanging out, talking about geeky shows and things that are coming out, things you can stream. So we're going to try to put a list of all the things we talked about down in the description of this episode on Spreaker and iTunes and everywhere else so you can find those things. And, she's going, you made work for me. Yes, but that way you can find all these things and you can stream them and you can join the conversation. In the meantime, guys, we have to go. Thank you so much to the Orlando Wizard, Robert Lupo, for being on with us yet again this week. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Sage. Thank you, Deanna, for all the hard work. And thank you, everybody out there on Twitch, for watching the show. And thank you on Krypton Radio, iTunes, and all those places for listening to the show. Thank you to all our partners and friends, from Famous Faces and Funnies and Space Coast Comics to Indie Originals. And
Off the Chain
with
Yvonne
Radio with
the
Yvonne
Foxwood
Mason.
Wine Company, J. Bauer Art.
All these great places that help to share these shows all over the web. Thank you for listening. We got to go. Stay tuned in and stay logged on and see who we're hanging with next.
Look who we're hanging with.
That would be me.
Look who we're hanging with.
Jason David Frank.
Please do not change channel.